All right, we're here today. I got the Zoom going to help out Chief Jones and News Now Houston. I'm just going to kind of sit back and let them do their thing. And if I come up with something I want to talk about, I'll add it in. If not, I'll just keep my mouth shut. Go ahead,
Hey,
Chief.
Steve, I got a question. I got a question for you, Steve.
All right.
What kind of fish are in that aquarium behind you?
Well, instead of going through all the different kind of fish that are in the tank, that tank is now going to be for discus, which are the very colorful freshwater fish that are really hard to take care of and expensive. But I've been selling all my other aquariums and all my bunch of other fish and shrimp and to pay for the discus. And I've got them in another tank quarantine right now, and they're going in this one. But they get, pretty good size and real colorful. And well, that's where that's tank.
Because I've had people ask me, what kind of fish are those in your tank behind you, and I don't have an answer for them. So you just got to give it. You sold the shrimp. Why didn't we just deep fry them and have them for lunch?
It would take the kind of shrimp they are. They're so small that it would take a handful to make a snack. Hundreds of them to make a handful to just make a snack. They're really, really, really small, full grown. They're just very colorful. But I had 20 aquariums going, and
I've seen it.
Yeah, I started selling them all off. And make a long story short, I bought and sold cheap, and I bought them cheap, sold them cheap, but I got a little bit of a profit off it to pay for the rest of it.
Okay. And do you know that you have a criminal record?
Oh yeah, but it's not really a record as far as what MERB wants you to think, that I was convicted of something. It's just I was on record that I got a DWI that I was found innocent for by the whole jury. And it was a cop that ended up getting fired for arresting people for not having DWI. So you don't
have a conviction. You were just arrested.
Right. And the gun one was the guy in the truck with me bought a gun that he didn't know was stolen. And we were coming back from the shooting range or the hunting. I don't even remember what it was we were coming back from. And they pulled us over and they got him for that. We walk in carrying our own guns into the police department. We had a couple of rifles and pistols, and we were carrying our own rifles and pistols into the police station because they knew there was nothing, that we weren't trouble or anything. And a couple hours later, after not even 2 hours, more like an hour later, they let us walk out. They never pressed any charges or anything because they found out that he bought the gun from a friend of his who didn't know it was stolen. They just wanted to track it down, and there was never any charges done or anything. So
you don't have any criminal background.
I don't have any criminal background. Never been convicted of anything.
That's what I thought.
Maybe a traffic ticket. Whoopee.
Yeah, it's just more misinformation being spread by the Manson MERB cult.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they've got a really cute nickname for you. They call you Beta Steve.
Yeah, I know. But and I'm going to let this out because I've pretty much got them all figured out now. That's how I figure out who they are, because they all repeat exactly what MERB says. So they give themselves away in the comments, and when they come into the chat, do that. And I'll be straight out. If you're one of the Manson MERBs and you come into my chats or you come into my channel and you cause trouble and you're there just to be an ass, I'm gonna ban you. I don't care about what you think about this free speech stuff. You're not here to have a conversation and figure things out and do this and that. You're here to be a troublemaker and make it to where people don't want to be in there making comments because they don't want to be attacked by the Manson MERBs. So
yeah, and that's what they do. They'll come in 10, 15 at a time and just attack people and give them a hard time just to make them frustrated and make them leave. It's not about free speech. They don't care about free speech.
Unless you agree with what they're saying.
Yes, they care about their agenda and spreading their agenda. That's what they care about.
And you ones that put these questions in there that act like it's an innocent question, and I can tell by the way you word it's not an innocent question, and I know who you are anyway because I've seen you before. I've got several people making a list of all you idiots, so that's a waste of time for you. Plus, I don't really give a shit what you got to say anyway. So
Yeah, I have no value to their opinion. It's funny that, you know, they like to call me Earl. You know, my name is Earl David.
Yeah.
David is my middle name. And my family growing up and my friends growing up have always called me David. So that's what I use. And they say, oh, you're a liar. Your name's Earl. So what it is that's their narrative. They think that bothers me. It doesn't. In reality, I don't give them permission to call me David. They're not my friends. So they will either call me Earl or Mr. Warden. It's that simple. I won't tolerate them calling me David. But anyway, I appreciate that. I wanted to, people were asking about the fish and all that, and I didn't mean to get off on a tangent. So go ahead, Chief. Let's get the ball rolling here.
All right. I guess the people know who we are, so we'll just skip that. But
I'm David.
I'm Chief.
I'm Kirk.
Yeah. Something that keeps coming up in emails and people I meet in person, they say, how long has David been an activist and what stoked him to be an activist? So that's a two-part question, and I'll yield to you, sir.
Man. Okay, so let's see. I have been a civil rights activist, willingly or unwillingly, since about the age of 6.
Wow.
I started at 16.
I had older siblings, and, you know, in the 60s when all the civil rights marches were going on and all that stuff was happening, you know, my older siblings, the sisters specifically, were all in college and lived local to where I was at in Florida. And so a lot of times they would participate in the civil rights marches and whatnot. And so I got dragged out to that. Somewhere I've got some pictures that one of my sisters gave me recently. I'll have to dig them out, see if I can find them. Or she gave them to me, I guess it's been a couple years ago now. But there's one at a civil rights march with me carrying a sign on a stick, you know, and I forget what the sign said, but it was all pro civil rights. And so you could say I started then, even though at that age I had no clue what was going on. I didn't understand black or white or brown and white or white and blue, or, you know, I didn't understand all that. But I did understand that civil rights was a very hot topic, a very hot issue. We also had the Vietnam War was ramping up at that part. So it, you know, I grew up in an era where we still had water fountains that said, you know, colored here and white here. And we still had restaurants that you would go into that had signs on them that said no colors. And this was in Jacksonville, Florida. It was in Orlando, Florida, and Jacksonville, Florida in the mid 60s. And, you know, I think back to that and I'm just dumbfounded by it. You know, it was such a crazy time in this country. And then I look at now, and, you know, this is more of that crazy time. It's different because now it's not a black and white issue, though the government would probably like you to believe it is, but it's not a black and white issue. It's a government out of control and government employees out of control issue. But it still comes down to our civil rights. And I have participated throughout my life in things that had to do with civil rights, even when I was in the military, and boy, did I catch hell for that. The military is not a good place to assert your civil rights, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, even after the military, I was a staunch believer in civil rights. At that point, you know, I had a family to raise, and you know, work had to come first, and supporting your family had to come first. And I did what I could to do that. And then I really started to get back into civil rights issues and take up civil rights issues in the 90s. And then kind of died down again, and then came back in around 2010, started picking up on homelessness issues. And, you know, in 2014, 2015, I kicked off into YouTube and into the police accountability or government accountability activities.
Right. Well,
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Well, let me drill down just a little bit here and
All right.
And kind of hold your feet to the fire, as it were. Some people think that I give you a free pass. That isn't so. They don't know what all I've done in my research, talking to you, and then I go fact check. Okay. And I talk to a lot of people that have known you for years and years and years. So the people that are honest, I keep getting the same narrative out of them, the same information. And it keeps being, David's a good man, he's passionate, you know, he's law-abiding, he does the right thing. But they even extrapolate to the point that this activism in your civil rights and these type of activities created problems for you over 30 years ago, and it's caused problems for you all along since then. Some were, you know, a little problem, and some were gigantic problems, you know, like going to jail for outing tyrants. Okay. Would you say that when you're dealing with civil rights, inalienable rights, the rights to be left alone, and the government accountability, do you believe that you was outing tyrants then and outing tyrants along the way and still today, and that you suffered the repercussions of that?
Okay, so this is a fine line I have to walk because of what's currently going on. But yeah, it's something that has been an issue for quite some time. You know, and you haven't always had a social media platform to go to organize people to help you. You know, when I was in the early 80s, we had some issues. My dad and I had some issues with the Pasadena Police Department and some bad officers. And I took up that fight because I was better equipped for it. But and did it cause me issues later on? Absolutely, absolutely. But you know, it is what it is. So you can whine and cry about, you know, the things that go wrong in your life, or you can pick yourself up and learn from it and move on. And that's always been my philosophy. Just move on and try to do it better next time. And so that's what I try to do. I try to do the right thing. You know, am I perfect? Absolutely not. But I strive to be a decent person and consistent about being a decent person. Do I falter? Sure, I do. Absolutely. I get angry just like everybody else. I get frustrated just like everybody else. You know, but I make the effort to do the right thing. And sometimes that works out good, sometimes it doesn't. But I do make the effort.
Well, let me get to another question. A lot of people, you know, contact me through various means, and they say, do you think that the auditing community is divided? I said, well, it was not. But I'm interjecting a little bit here. I said, there are certain people that have a lot of psychological problems that have a need to feel important, and they're narcissistic or sociopath or psychopath that have come in and they try and divide things over and over. So I see you shaking your head, so you probably agree to that. Could you speak to that some?
Absolutely. So you have people, let's go with Felipe Hemming, because he's a good example. You know, Felipe Hemming basically came to me and started to pressure me and you know, basically blackmail me. You know, you will support me, you will make me out to be this great person and everybody needs to come to, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, no. Well, I'm going to out you. Well, just out me out of the way, because I'm not doing it. You know, that dude has got an ego, like, it is just insane, the ego that guy's got.
Right.
He has a need He has an absolute need to be important and be a focal point and be somebody. And in reality, he's not. He's not. And he's not a bad guy. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. You know, and that he doesn't help some people. He does, as long as you're on his good side. Okay, but his ego, he just cannot get his ego out of the way, and that need to be somebody out of the way. If you've ever met somebody like that, you know, and unfortunately, MERB's another one that's like that. You know, they have to have their cult following. They have to have control in order to feel like they have power. You know, there's your Manson cult, and you know, your little neo-Nazi groups, you know, which is basically what you've got coming out of California with the Hemming clan. You know, that's what they are, just a Hemming clan. You play their game, and if you're good, and if you don't, well, then you know, they do their little gang thing. But and then the MERB Manson group, you know, we've seen how they operate. It's all about, you know, character assassination. And do they get violent? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. We're going to talk about that again in a couple of weeks. But yes, they do commit acts of violence. Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know, because some things are ongoing. There's investigations going on that we can't say certain things because we would be actually interfering or impeding in a police investigation. So we got to keep our mouth closed and let the justice system wring it out. Now, I want to ask you specifically about Ben. Now, I want to put this out there. I know Ben. I talked to him at Almost Park. I talked to him on the phone a few times. I am told, I haven't seen it, but I'm told that he told several things saying I said that I didn't say, but I'll give him benefit of the doubt because I haven't seen it. People spread rumors like weeds, and weeds kill your grass, okay? So I don't have nothing against Ben, zero, okay? I don't talk bad about him. I don't really know him, and I supported him for a long time. Now I'm kind of in a neutral stance. I'm not for him. I'm not against him. You know, he's who he is. Let him do his thing. But, you know, what's your take on it?
Well, you know, I got picked on, and I talked to Ben last week. We had a long talk. You know, I got picked on by some folks because of what I said about Ben in the last live stream, in the last Zoom meeting, about him being weak-minded and whatever. And really that was overblown and got twisted out of proportion. So let me clean that up a little bit. All right.
Sure.
Ben was in a state of burnout, and I've been there. I took a summer off a couple of years ago because, you know, I was in the same position.
Right.
He also had some very significant family members that died or were ill at the time. He just had a lot going on. Right. And when I said that he was mentally weak, that was a misstatement. That's not right. He was under a lot of stress, and he thought that he needed to take a step back and just take some time away and get his head together. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've done it too. So,
fair enough.
But the MERB group, the MERB people saw that as a weakness, and they were trying to exploit it and go after him. So, you know, it's not that he's weak-minded. You know, he was just in a bad place. And we all get there at one point or another. And taking time off and walking away and assessing your priorities is exactly what you should do. Exactly what you should do.
Okay. Now I want to ask you another question. And I don't want to harp on the MERB Manson family cult. People will say you're labeling them. Well, maybe so. However, I think it is a description of their behavior and conduct because it mimics the Charles Manson family from the 60s, and they kept escalating and escalating and escalating and got into some serious violence and killed people. Well, this Merv Manson family cult started off kind of down here, and it escalated, and in recent times it's really jacked up. But of course, we can't really go into that. But I'm saying it follows the same thing. And there was a documentary. I'll put a link in it, okay? But it's a reporter was talking to Charles Manson, and he talked about the things he did. And he said, I ain't done nothing wrong, man. I ain't done nothing wrong. Well, I seen John Boy Merv, the cult leader, on a video saying, I ain't done nothing wrong, I ain't done nothing wrong. And the very first thing come to my mind was Charles Manson, because he was in complete denial, because he's a psychopath and narcissistic. He's in the 1%ers, the most dangerous people in the world. Now, that don't mean they're going to act on their impulses, but Charles Manson did, and I see Merv pulling the trigger with his robots. You know, just like the girls shaved their head because he shaved his. When Merv says these words out of his mouth and his minions go and repeat it and he blasts people, then they take that as that's a sign from our leader to go do his bidding. You know?
I agree. I agree. You know, it's an interesting thing. I have an attorney here that's looking into some things. And one of the things that he came upon was Discord. And you know, and when you create a chat room in Discord, Discord gives you an access number. Nobody can get into that group, into that chat room, except people you give that number to. And that creates a liability for you as to what transpires in that chat room. So in that chat room over there, they're posting pictures of my kids, my grandkids, my ex, my, you know, anything and anybody, residents, cars, you know, things that have nothing to do with nothing. And if acts of violence are committed against any of those people because it was shared there, I believe that the chat room owner could have some liability. And if schemes or criminal activities are plotted there, Merv has liability, and the attorney that I've been talking to agrees. So, you know, I guess we're going to see.
Well, let me ask you this. You know, especially back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, I don't know all the titles. I used to have to do this because I had to go get a special training with the U.S. Marshal Service and the Bay County Sheriff's Office from Florida, and the training seminar was in Oklahoma. This was in 88, I believe. Anyway, we had to go study satanic occult crimes and their leaders and how they train people and groom them and what to expect. And at that time, we was talking about, for example, the Grand Dragon for the Ku Klux Klan. And they were looking at going after him for various things. And he said, I can't help what people do. I can't help what people do. That's what he kept saying. They said, but when you suggestively say it would be good if somebody had a cross burning in their yard, they take that, they need to go do it. They're taking their orders from you. You are the head of the body, okay? And the body carries out your missions, okay? And these people go back and try and tone it down because they've been caught in the spider web, you know? And I see Merv recently going back and saying this is satire, okay? That's a code word for I'm going to try and get you and call it something else. It's like pretextual. Like police say, I'm stopping you because you have a burnout tag light, but really they think you got dope in the car. So they say for one thing and do another. But see, he never said satire, and satire is only to a point to make fun of certain things about your message, like in politics, okay? But when you attack a person based on their looks, based on their weight, based on their intelligence, based on
the way they talk.
The way they talk, anything that's characteristic to that man or woman. You know, I'm not Jesus, but I am telling you this. Jesus went out and spread his message. So they put him on a cross, the religious crowd, and killed him to shut him up. What did that do? That just made the Christianity go higher and higher. And it's with us 2,000 years. It's the most major religion in the world, or maybe second, I don't know. But you get the point. And so killing the messenger does not stop the message. There's a man behind that man, and a woman behind that man, and a man behind her. So there are far, far more good people out here. And I'd say it's probably 90%, but that 10%, they're the vocal minority that create the atmosphere to look like, oh, this is bad. It's the silent majority. The silent majority put Ronald Reagan in office. The silent majority put Donald Trump in office. So people sometimes keep their mouths shut, but when it's time, they pull the lever, whatever it is in their life, and back up who they back up. What say you?
Well, I agree. You know, right now, there are a lot of anti-David people that think I am down and out, and I'm not. I'm getting stronger by the day. And this movement, while it may be divided right now, right, the division is coming from just a few people. It's not everybody. It's just a few people that are creating the division. And right, you know, I need to work through with what I've got going on right now, and then we're going to weed those people out. We're going to weed them out.
Well, but I need to drill down just a little bit more to get real specific, because I've had a ton of email on this one specific issue. People have said, we believe that David was a Christian, and we believe he is, and we believe you are. Will y'all allow a olive branch or a conduit for people to repent and to come clean, and you work with them? I said, for myself, the answer is absolutely yes. However, you know, trust that is down here. I said, you know, you start out here and you work in over a period of time. It takes time to build trust, but I would at least offer a hand of friendship. How say you?
Well, you know, I help anybody that needs help. I've been that way since the very, very start. And right, that's not going to change, save for a few people. Right. There are a few people that I believe are beyond redemption. I just have no trust left them. Hemming is a good example. Right. You know, there are people that the trust is gone and there's no getting it back. Does that mean I'm going to be angry and bitter towards them? Absolutely not. And you know, yes, I am a Christian, but these people have been slapping me in the face and beating me over the head for a year and a half. And I've looked the other way and looked the other way and turned the other cheek, and that time has passed. That time has passed now. So, but yes, you know, I'm going to air my grievances, and then at that point, anybody that wants to be friends is welcome back in, you know, but you're going to have to earn the trust. You're going to have to build the trust. They're not coming in with a clean slate like they did before, you know, because I may forgive, but I do not forget. And, you know, what's the old adage? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's where we're going to go with this. But yes, I would gladly extend an olive branch, you know, because I want peace with people. I want people to be at peace, and I want people to come together as a group to make change. And we can do that. Our power is not in individual numbers. Our power is and our strength is in our group. That's where the power is, in unity and getting along and helping each other.
Right. Well, you know, back in the 60s, there was Malcolm X, okay? He was real aggressive, real assertive, okay? And then you had Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., who was going for the same thing, I would say, but he went about it in a more passive way, and he basically let the people see that the police were hurting him and the people, and the people said, "Hey, you know, we see you're trying to do good and right," and they came to his defense. Where at the same time over there with Malcolm X, they were looking to throw him under the dungeon and do away with him. So people say, well, this is right, that's right. Well, they went about it different ways, okay? And I'm saying auditors go about things different ways. So maybe that's not the good comparison, but I've just the only thing come to my mind in civil rights, okay? And in the government, you can go back and look at old FBI documents from J. Edgar Hoover that they're still around. A lot of them were destroyed by its secretary, by her own testimony, okay? But if you go back and look at these documents, the way government controls the mass population is division. Division by the amount of money you make, the neighborhood you live in, the type of jobs you have, the color of your skin, the religion. So they try and get it in so many fractions because if the people ever come together for 30 days, our government would change overnight by the 31st day because they would impeach people in office, they would remove them, they would take people out and hang them at the nearest intersection by the neck till dead for treason like they used to. I'm not advocating that, but I'm saying that's what would happen if the people get together, and the government knows that. The head always protects itself. So it compartmentalizes and sets the people apart and keeps them at each other. So I say strength is in unity, you know. So
well, and a lot of what's going on in this movement, you know, when you get past the egos, a lot of what's going on, a lot of the issues that are being created by government people who have interjected themselves into the movement. And that's where the seeds of discontent are coming from. And these are the same techniques, are similar because they've been updated, you know, to allow for social media and stuff. But these are the same techniques that were used in the 50s and 60s against the civil rights activists.
Yeah,
nothing's changed. The government doesn't change its methods. It doesn't. You can't teach the government new tricks. It uses the same tricks over and over and over.
Like the CIA's dirty book of tricks out of the 60s, like UK Ultram. Let's see, wait a minute. I had a freaking brain fart. You know what I'm saying? The Ultram or whatever it was, where they learned how to get in people's minds, and they could make a sound or flash a light that would cause a man to do things that he would never do. You know, and they learn these tricks. Well, they still use that in small portions, but on the masses, they said, we got to find another way, and they do that through the media. I went to a training course where the police were told, we've got to hurry up and get a statement out, and that'll be the narrative that the media gives us, okay? And it'll get people thinking that way. If you wait a day, and the newspapers will come up with whatever they want to, and then people be harry-carry. So it's a controlled situation.
Absolutely. You know, when I was arrested, just minutes after I was arrested, Deer Park Police put out a statement about my arrest. They had the statement already prepared, ready to go.
Yep.
That's their attempt to control the narrative, okay?
Right.
If I had been one of their officers, I'm wondering if anything would have been said at all. You know,
I would have said, let's wait and see how this.
Wait. We got to wait for the trial. We got wait for the trial. Wait and see how the investigation goes. That's how. But with me, oh no, he's guilty. He's guilty. You know, and so when you see these anonymous individuals who use fake names on their channels out here making comments and stuff, there's a reason. There's a reason they're using anonymous channels and not revealing who they are.
Some of them are tyrant cops. They're tyrant cops.
There's already been one cop that we have caught who has been caught in one of my audits before that's over in Merv's chat room. Yeah. Yeah.
There's
I'm
more-
sorry.
there's more than
I'm
that.
sorry. Wait. I misstated that. Let me correct that. I
Okay, go ahead.
misstated it. It is not the actual cop. It is his boyfriend that's over there. So he's basically saying what that guy's saying. But yeah.
You said his boyfriend, right? I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
boyfriend.
sexuality is their business. I just want to make sure I understood you. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, it's his boyfriend, his live-in boyfriend of I think 4 or 5 years. But yeah, we backtracked IP address right to his house. Now that particular officer has retired from the department he was working for, and so they're I'm not worried about it. Don't care. But
Well,
that's just an example. It's just an example.
Yeah,
of who
there's
exactly
more
is
than
involved in this. Yes, there are.
Yeah.
There are.
I mean.
Anyway, we got to wrap this up. We got to wrap this up. Yeah. So let's. Any final thoughts?
I'll let Steve close it out.
All right. Steve.
Well, I'm going to give this a quick pause to make this easy to edit if I want to edit this out later. All right. The division.
Did you see the expression on your face when you did that? It's like you were passing gas or something.
Maybe I was. Trying to keep it silent.
Yeah, silent but deadly.
All right, go ahead.
Now I'm going to have to edit that out. Damn it. All right, the division has always been there, but we always kept in the background. All right, but with the hemming and the MERB stuff, it's pushed people to the limits where it's come out. All right, they've been driven to that point. I hope someday we get back to where the division is kept between the individuals. They get together, they work it out or don't work it out, and just say, okay, you don't agree, I don't agree, we have problems, we don't like each other, whatever it is. Let's just go do our thing, and we don't have to deal with each other, right?
That's how it should be.
And I hope we get back there someday. All right. And I've been pretty closed-mouthed about a lot of what's been going on, and I'm still trying to. But there's a point that I feel that there's things that need to be said. That's one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing with you guys, hosting this for you to talk about this and having a little bit of my own say so.
Yeah. By the way, thank you very much for hosting this.
Well, you're welcome. I've done it for others. I'll do it for y'all. I don't do it for anybody because I'm not going to promote certain things that I don't want to promote. They can do it on their own. We lost David. Here's a question. I hear people using the word, you're a public authority, you're an authority figure, whatever. I want to see if we can get people to go to using servant and forget the authority figure and forget the public authority. All right. Y'all, they are public servants and nothing but public servants. And that's it.
That's a fact. That's why I said there are maids and butlers as far as our government affairs.
Yeah. The next thing is, I'm going to post this up on my backup channel, which is PNP News In Depth.
Right.
I need to build that channel.
Yes.
And I think I'm going to use that channel for going live when I go out.
Yes.
All right. And I need to build that channel up some more. So that's where this was going to be posted, just like the last time.